Last, we are live and welcome to our third part. This is actually third part. We have four videos of the sales masterclass, but right now, I just want to go ahead and you focusing on those important things. So I'm just so grateful right now that we will be with someone who is very, very good when it comes to sales. He will be teaching us advanced sales. It is more complicated this time, but I know this is going to be very, very exciting and it's going to benefit everyone. So let's not waste any time. We will be, you know, with the as he discussed advanced sales training. This is advanced sales training. You can share this live and, give it to someone who really needs this. So we will be joined by Alex Beck. Hello, Alex. I think he is joining in a bit. So let's just wait for him to go ahead and join us and hope you're having a great, great day, everyone. He is already here. That's why I'm gonna, turn it over to him. Hello, Alex. You are live. Just wait for him a little bit. And guys, don't forget to subscribe and share. Thank you so much. This is Angelo. Mhm. 42.
Odd. Could you guys hear me?
Hello.
Let me know if you could see me and hear me here. Okay, cool. Awesome. We'll get started here in 2 minutes.
Sure. In the meantime, guys, I'll go ahead and just cover my camera every now and then so that you'll not be distracted by me being here and focused on this advanced sales training.
Oh. Okay. There we go. Let me pop the slide on. That should be better.
Amazing.
Happy New Year, everybody. Hope everyone's first week of the New Year's going well here. Let's see. This is my first coaching call since probably beginning of December, but hope everyone's doing well. We have not a huge group today, so if anything, that's a better thing. I'd rather have it more one-on-one in a sense, rather than speaking to a larger group of people. But yeah, awesome. Let's do it. So starting off here, is anyone new to the coaching calls? Let me know if you're new. Toss a 1 in the chat if this is your first call with myself. If I don't see any ones, I'm going to assume everyone has been to one of my calls before. 2. Okay, cool. All right. Well, Jorge, nice to meet you. If you're the only person that hasn't been to one of these calls as of yet, but my name is Alex Beck. I've been on Iman's team past 2 years now at this point, so definitely have seen his. It's crazy to see how much he's grown in the past 2 years. I remember when I joined his team, it was like a team of 5 people, and now at this point, he has multiple businesses. Our team is over 100 people at this point. So, but yeah, I've been on Iman's team for the past 2 years. As far as my background or how I ended up here, I got started with, essentially my first online business when I was 17. I was a junior in high school. Didn't really see any success from that until I was damn near 19 doing e-commerce. And then ended up making a pivot to doing remote sales. So I ended up working for and randomly applying to Alex Hormozzi's company, Gym Launch, which was his agency for gym owners. They hired me there as a cold caller. So I was doing sales with them because I knew there was a lot of potential with remote sales at the time. It still is. And then also running my e-commerce business on the side. Once I saw, I guess, like the runway that I had with remote sales, as long as I buckled down with it for 5-6 months, and how well you could do with it, I ended up dropping e-commerce to focus on remote sales. So there's a couple reasons for that. One, money, and two, I think the biggest thing was wanting to see how a really well-established internet business worked, like the ins and outs. So that was my whole plan with Gym Launch, was like, okay, I'm going to work here for 6 months and absorb, I was going to say steal, but not steal, absorb as much information I could as far as like how this $100 million internet business is running, and then apply it to my own stuff. Along the way, I realized I was decent with sales and that there's a lot of potential with that. So I doubled down with sales, did really well, moved me up to closer in like 5 months, 4 or 5 months. And then I closed with him for a year, a little over a year, before making the pivot to working with Monster. So JJ, what's up, bro? But all that to say, you guys, and I say this on every call, you'll speak with a lot of coaches like John Danes, like even JJ, or other people that have ran businesses where they're making a ton of money. Myself, I made a lot more money with sales, remote sales in specific, compared to running my own business, right? So yeah, all that to say, now at this point, I do like a lot of consulting, especially in the sales space, for agency owners and other businesses as well. So if anyone here, like Al Reyes, for example, he's running I want to say content or video production agency or content creation, I could definitely help out with anything regarding the sales process if you guys have questions on that, or even getting leads as well. So thank you, bro. I actually had this background for some time and I just never used it. And I was always like downstairs. And then I popped my camera on one day and I was like, hey, this actually looks decent. I'm gonna start utilizing this more. But yeah, I met JJ, just so you know. You guys have probably come to his calls at Gym Launch. And I think me and him both had the same mindset. He was running an agency for personal trainers. I was doing e-commerce, and we both went to Gym Launch so that we could absorb as much information that we take and go bring to our own businesses. And then we ended up seeing the potential with working there and just have kind of grown from there. So yeah. No, the plants aren't real, Sophia. They're fake. But you guys, let's dive into questions, Q&As. So I know these calls, they're framed as Q&A calls here. So I do always like to start off just to see if you guys had any immediate questions, right? At the end of the day, I think a lot of people here, I doubt they come to hear me rant. I'm sure you guys have some questions regarding sales, whether that is for your agency, getting better leads, how to qualify those leads, objection handling techniques, things like that. So if anyone has questions, let's go ahead and pop them in the chat here. Carl, yes, Paul's on a leave right now, bro. He's on a like a personal family leave. So yeah. Yes, let's see. George Sparrow. All right. So I am starting a solar niche agency and planning to do walk-ins to solar companies in my city because I don't have many in my city. So I thought it's easier to close when talking eye to eye instead of email. So should I just use a one call script or what are your suggestions? So, I mean, step one, George, is getting them to want to sit down with sit down with you to actually have like a sales call, quote unquote, right? So, I mean, step one is always doing the outreach and essentially making sure that they're a good fit, presenting who you guys are, what you do, how you provide a solution to X problem that they have. And then from there is actually booking them for that call or scheduling another in-person meeting where you sit down with them and it's more consultative. You're finding their pain point, and then essentially painting your service as the solution to their pain point, right? So a couple things. Email isn't, you know, I guess it does like take you thinking backwards on the type of industry you're speaking with. Something like solar, I'd assume would be a good business to where you could send emails and it would still be very effective, right? So don't put yourself in the mindset that like, hey, I have to go door knocking on every single business in order to close because it's not true. For example, let's see, I have this guy that I know. But all that to say, what I'm saying is don't put yourself in the mindset that, you know, you can't close deals because you need to go knock on businesses in person because I mean, the biggest agencies and online businesses in the world are working with people from all over the world here. So, so yeah, of course, for your first maybe couple closes, you know, hash it out, do it in person if that feels better for you. Test to see how that goes. But if not, definitely start reverting towards taking calls via Zoom and online, right? I mean, that's a benefit of running an online business. I'm assuming that's why you're starting an agency, bro, is in a sense like the freedoms you want to have, like the ability to work from home, to you know, time freedom, location freedom, and so forth. So definitely, I would start off with the direction I want the business to go. Now, if I don't want this to be an in-person sales business, then I would never start with that, right? You have to figure it out in the direction that you have planned for yourself. But all that to say, who I was pulling up, there's someone, a friend of mine, his name is, and this is for George, this is for you, bro. So Cole Jacobs, he was in our Apex group, and he runs a company called, I think that's his Instagram. He runs a company called Level RN NRG. And it's for solar. So he was doing really, really well as like a solar sales guy. He was building sales teams and stuff for solar companies. And now he runs a marketing agency for solar companies. and it's all remote. So he closes everybody remotely. He hosts coaching calls for the solar businesses. All the outreach he does is remote based. He's working from people from all over the world, and he's based out of Santa Monica. Um, so yeah, all that to say, it's definitely not needed for you to show up to businesses in person. Although, don't psych yourself out. The first step is always getting your first couple clients signed. So let's see here. George, okay, we got him. Check my DMs. I got you, bro. Adriel, check my DMs. Cold calling tips. Emmanuel, dive a little bit deeper on like what are you looking for tips for in specific when it comes to cold calling? Because there's a lot of stuff I could say regarding cold calling. Like, is it tonality? Is it how to make sure they show up for their appointment? Is it how to do a decent discovery? What does that look like? So I could dive into that. Tobias, I will start cold calling Monday. Okay. Do you have any tips? Same thing, bro. Let me know kind of what you're looking for tips for. If I were to just give you a broad, quick tip for cold calling, you have the first you have like 10 seconds to hold on to their attention before they hang up, right? So 2 things I would tell you: don't get upset with yourself if you get hangups or, people who just aren't interested, because that's part of the game. Same thing with taking sales calls. You just need to move on to the next lead, right? It's a reason why door-to-door guys do so well with sales is because, they're literally putting in probably 200 reps a day, right? And out of those 200 doors that they knock, they're probably getting at least 50 people that crack the door, they say not interested, and shut it on their face. You have to learn to move on to the next person and not psych yourself out. Of course, there are different strategies to make sure you can hold their attention in that first 10 seconds. Biggest thing I'd say is get straight to the point and act like you know the person you're calling, right? There's a difference between saying, hey, is this Adriel? For example, me picking up a phone call from a random person, I'm already kind of skeptical, and they say, hey, is this Adriel Salsi? Right? There's a chance I'll be like, what do you want? Who is this? And, hang up, compared to me calling Adriel and saying, hey, Adriel, what's up, man? This is Alex Beck with, Gym Launch, for example. It just gives you that first few seconds to where it's psychology, right? In their mind, they're like, okay, how does this guy know me? Let's continue with the conversation. And it gives you that first 10 seconds to say what you have to say to keep them on for the rest of the call. So tonality's a big thing as well. So that would be the 3 things I say if you're just looking for quick tips for cold calling. 1, tonality is really, really, really important, especially when you're on the phones, because if you are naturally a monotone person, it'll sound 10 times worse over a phone call. So you want to have good tonality. For 1, for 2, understand that you have the first 10 seconds to hold someone's attention. That usually depicts whether they'll continue with the call with you or if they'll hang up with less than 10 seconds. And then 3 would be always just move on to the next lead. So don't, even with Gym Launch, you guys cold calling for Gym Launch, at least 20% of people I called would say not interested, screw off, right, and hang up on me. And I would literally say, cool, next person, click a button, forget about it, and move on to the next call. So let's see, J&D Media. Okay, I'm supposed to have my first couple demo calls. I decided to do a 2-call close. Just wanted to ask you if you have quick framework on how to find out about their pain points and how to move them into a second 45-minute discovery call. Yeah, so 2-call close. This is what Gym Launch did as well. I guess what I learned from Gym Launch with that is the bigger the ask, the longer the runway. As in, the more money you're asking for your service, right? The longer the sales process is. So Gym Launch selling something that was $40,000 to gym owners, and sometimes we're speaking with people who have never heard a single thing about Gym Launch. Obviously, closing them in 1 30-minute call is damn near impossible in a sense, right? So we have to be able to break up and extend the sales process. It's the same thing why with let's say someone with Iman who's selling something, that is $3,000-$4,000, you could close them in one call versus like an enterprise SaaS company where they're closing deals for 200K, 300K for a year. It'll take them 6 months. Take sales reps 6 months to close those deals. So that's one thing I would say. Now, as far as a framework for a 2-call close, really you just want to take that first call to do a quick 20-minute discovery, right? 20 minutes in, essentially hop in, build rapport quickly, set frame as to what we're going to do with these 20 minutes, and have it framed if you're doing a 2-call close as in like, hey, we only work with a specific amount of people. So I just want to take 20 minutes to figure out kind of where you're at with your business currently, where you're trying to go, and if this even makes sense for you, right? In that call, you do need to be analytical. If it's a 2-call close, you need to focus on their pain points, because the only way that you'll get them to show up for that second call is if you find what they need help with, and then refer to, hey, so I know that you mentioned you need lead gen. Your goal is to get to 20K per month and you're doing about 10K per month. I believe the issue for you is that you're not doing X, Y, and Z within your company. What I would like to do, I know we had 20 minutes today. Why don't we plan a chat for tomorrow at 2 p.m. Where I could really dive into some different tactics that you could do, and then even how we could help as well, right? If you don't have a good mini discovery in that first call, it's not going to give them enough value to show up to that second call, right? So that is a reason why 2-call closes can get tricky sometimes. So you'd really have to be on point with that first 20, 30-minute discovery, right? You need to narrow down what the problem is, and then paint yourself as a solution, and then say, hey, on the second call, I'm really busy right now. Let's book for tomorrow, and we could talk about how we help with that pain point. So, yeah, also for J&D Media, I'm not sure how much you're charging, and I'm staring at, I don't want to lose your question here. If you feel like popping it in the chat, you 100% can, but anything under, I'd say 10K or under, you definitely have the ability to close everyone in one call, right? There's a couple other things that go into that. You obviously need, I think I talked about this on the last coaching call. For example, like a good pre-call video, good material to send to these leads before they show up to your call. That way they understand who you guys are, maybe testimonials that you've done, what you help with, what your guarantee looks like as well. And that will just warm up leads. That way, as soon as you get in the call, as long as you do well in that sales call, you could close them by the end, and you don't have to extend it to 2 calls. Now, of course, if you're selling something that's 20, 30, 40K, it may benefit you more to break it up into 2-call closes. So let me read through the question again and make sure I answered it. Quick framework. Okay, you're looking for like a framework for finding pain points. It's a normal discovery for J&D Media. It's a normal framework, right? Their current state, where they're at currently, their future state, so where they want to go, and then from there it's about finding what's stopping them from reaching their future state, right? That way you could paint yourself as a solution. And even one thing you can look at, the closer framework is one of the best frameworks you could use. So, and it's just really simplistic. So I'll pop it in the chat here. Am I frozen? There you go. Cool. Let's see here. Okay, Jake Wood. I'm starting to book a lot of discoveries each day. When I get them, I always get the price question at the end of the call. And yesterday I blew the longer format call we were meant to have today. Got an email saying this is not for them. How would you go about this when the price question comes up in the discovery? Really good question, man. And that's very typical for, for most, especially if you're doing like B2B consulting calls. like a lot of guys get in those calls thinking they're and as they are, everyone's time is valuable, right? So if it's a business guy who's doing relatively well, he's going to want to get in and get straight to the point. What do you do? How much do you cost? Right? I've had people who will cut me off in the first 5 minutes and be like, "Hey, Alex, just want to let you know I don't have a lot of time today, so let's just cut to the straight to the chase." Right? What are you guys doing and how much is it? So when that comes up, even in a discovery, if they're asking price and they continue pressing on price, I mean, one thing I would say, you just have to use good tonality and give a good explanation as to why you can't tell them the price as of yet. I mean, for example, if we're in discovery and I'm asking them questions about, okay, where you at coming with your business? And someone like Jake says, hey man, so do you mind just tell me the price of things so we could start moving forward and I could figure out if this is a good fit? I mean, essentially what I would say is like, oh, Jake, yeah, man, I totally understand. I know your time's valuable and pricing is always a big thing with working with any company. But the reason why I'm going about this direction is I'm not even sure if we're a good fit to be working together. We do work with specific people. And as you know, our team, we do create tailored game plans for each person. So until I figure out if you're a good fit, I can't necessarily give you accurate pricing on things. But if you just give me 10 more minutes, so I could walk through the rest of the questions I have and figure out if this is a good fit, more than happy to break everything down for you. Is that fine? Do you have the next 15 minutes? Most people, as long as you say it in a way to where with any objection, right? And that's a mini objection, you understand them in the beginning, right? You empathize with the reason why they want to know the price, their time's valuable, they want to know if it's a good fit. And then you give them a good explanation as in, you know, hey, I don't even know if you're a good fit for us to be working together. So it'd be a disservice for me to break that down as of now. If you just give me 10 more minutes, I promise we'll break everything down, brother. You know, don't stress. Do you have 15 minutes? Right? Most people, if you empathize, you smile, you have good tonality, they'll be like, yeah, man, let's just hash through it. I have 15 more minutes. Let's do this. So, and if they are really hard set on, listen, man, I only have 5 minutes. So tell me everything now, reschedule the call, right? Don't waste your time. So I would reschedule it for next day when they actually have a full, 30, 45 minutes to chat with you. So Al, Apex is not, JJ answered. Yeah, as of now, no, Apex isn't. So I think we got it to like 100 students, agency owners at the time, it's a requirement for them to be doing like 10 to 15K a month. And then I'm not sure the reason why, but Iman just started focusing on his other businesses and so forth. So let's see here. Al, one person, funny enough, I do, and this isn't pitching you for any type of sales call. Check out Charlie Morgan. He has a really killer guarantee right now, and JJ will probably laugh at this. But Charlie Morgan, he runs a company called, I'm mind blanking. It's for agency owners, but his guarantee is you'll get 20 clients, and he will sign you 20 clients in the first, I want to say 3 or 6 months, or else you get a full refund. Plus, he pays you $5,000. So, and it's a really, really good product. I'd say Charlie Morgan is at the top of his game right now for people who are running successful agencies. So, might be something worth checking out. Let's see. I'm a professional athlete and practice 3 to 5 hours a day. Would that be a problem when finding a sales job? Not at all, Max, not at all. So, when I first started, kind of a short story here. And I didn't mention this in my initial breakdown, but like a lot of businesses, but with e-commerce, I'd have months where I do really, really well, especially like Q4. And then months where things are dog shit. And at the time, I just had a daughter at the time. So I didn't want to have to like 100% rely on my business. So I was doing some bartending stuff on the side, right? So I pretty much work in the mornings doing e-commerce. Evening, I'd go hit bartending, take that money, funnel it back into ads. And kind of that was the cycle I was in. When I started doing sales, I was still doing all three. So I was working for Gym Launch like 4 to 6 hours a day, cold calling. I was doing my e-commerce stuff and then still bartending as well. And so all that to say, you definitely don't need to quit whatever you're doing to get into sales. You just need to position your training times and your work times and separate them well. That way you could focus on each of those things and give it time throughout the day. So what I would tell people who are getting into sales and they're maybe starting from a place to where they're like, hey, I'm still working as of now, or I don't know, still working, or an athlete like yourself. The best way for me was to position the mornings to work sales and then the evenings to do everything else. Right. So that's what I would tell everyone getting into sales. It's like, hey, start off part-time. You're going to have to suffer for a bit. And that's part of anything if you want to be successful with something. Right. But suffer in the sense to where like, hey, you're going to be working long hours. With Gym Launch, I was waking up at 4:30 in the morning. Their meeting was at 5 a.m. Pacific time because they were an Eastern time company. And then right after 5 a.m., I would cold call from 6 a.m. to about 2 p.m. After 2 p.m., I'd focus on whatever business stuff I've had and then go bartending at night. Then get home late from bartending, wake up again at 4 a.m. the next day, and then repeat it. So that would be the best structure, I'd say, is if you could schedule, if you land a sales role and you could schedule the entire morning, start early at like 6 Pacific time, which would be 9 a.m. Eastern, and go to, 2 p.m., 12 p.m., hit your numbers. And then you have the rest of the day to figure out what you need to until you're making enough money to where it's like, hey, let's drop everything and go full time with this, which is essentially what I did. So yeah, let me know if that was helpful. Victor, when people say they're not interested, good question. I mean, two things, like you definitely want to analyze. One, let me know, is that a sales call, not interested, or is that like a cold call when people say not interested? So, I mean, two things. It's always move on to the next lead, right? At the end of the day, there are going to be people who aren't interested. Not everyone's going to be interested in what it is that you're selling. So always just be ready to move on to the next lead. At the same time, if you're getting that a lot, you do want to make sure you watch recordings of your sales calls, even cold calls as well. That way you could figure out, hey, am I doing something wrong? Is there something I could be doing better that's preventing me from booking the call or closing the deal, right? On another end of the spectrum, if someone gets on a sales call with you, they're interested. So if they're telling you not interested on a sales call, something went wrong because they wouldn't be scheduling. They wouldn't have gone through the whole process of speaking with the setter, watching pre-call content, booking time out of their day to meet with you if they're not interested. They would have just never showed up. So there's two sides to that. If you get that on a sales call, most likely something went wrong, maybe in discovery or just in the opening of the call. But if you're getting that on a cold call, chances are you just need to move on to the next lead, but definitely watch that recording to see if there's anything different you could have done. Salvador, English is not my first language. Any tip to improve it? That way I could be a good seller. So I am not sure where you're from, Salvador, but I mean, two things. One, I guarantee you there's remote-based sales jobs in, whatever language you speak, whether it is Spanish or Portuguese or something different. There's tons of agencies doing really well in other countries at this point. And if you think about it backwards, typically the US is the front-facing runner for starting new things or something that's innovative, like a remote-based agency or remote-based sales probably started in the US first and started spreading to other countries. Now at this point, we're like 3 or 4 years after COVID. I could guarantee you that whatever country you're from, there's people who have brought in this concept to that country because it's probably needed more with them. And there's a lot more opportunity of people who need this type of service in a different country, like maybe Brazil, Portugal, Spain, and so forth, compared to all the competition in the States. right? So I know for a fact you could find a remote based sales job or start an agency in any country you're from. Because if you think backwards, there's probably more businesses that need this type of service in X country compared to people who could provide it, right? Compared to the States where, this has been going on for 5, 6, 7 years now at this point. So that's one thing. Second thing, speak more English. So that's always going to be the best way you learn more English, man. Maybe make a accountability buddy in the in the community here. Get a few, start booking 3 calls a week, 2 calls a week for 30 minutes just to chat with people, to practice sales, to get better with English. It's the same thing. I speak Spanglish, so like half decent Spanish, and the best way to learn is just to speak more Spanish. There's no secret to it. So, Neil, how to make sure they show up for their appointment for cold calls? Okay, good question. So, 2 things. One, you definitely want to provide some value in the cold call. That way, same thing with the 2 call close. My curtain's open and the sun is hitting me. Give me 1 sec. Okay, there you go. I'm back. So, am I moving too fast, you guys? Let me know if the way I'm answering questions is helpful, or if you guys need me to dive deeper into anything. So that way I could, if anything. But Neil Aikman, he asked, how do I make sure people show up for their appointment as a cold caller? So, it's the same thing with the 2 call close, in the sense to where no one will show up for that second call if you don't provide enough value in the first. That way it makes sense for them to show up to the second call. So you do want to make sure as a cold caller that you're able to find their mini pain point, but just, logically provide value. That way they do want to show up to a call to speak with your team, right? For one. Now for 2, there are different things you could do once they agree to the call. It's essentially just tying them down to make sure they show up, right? And the way you do that is called like double or triple tie downs. So for example, let's say you get to the end of the cold call and they agree. You let them know, hey, Neil, I would love to set you up with a team to meet with someone on our team. I know you're looking for some marketing right now, or for someone to help you grow your content for your business. Are you free tomorrow to meet with someone on our team? Once they agree I'm free tomorrow. I'm actually free around noon. Perfect. Noon works. What I'm going to do, I'll set you up to meet with Alex. I'll create a group chat with you guys. That way you guys can just get to know each other a little bit for the next call. And we'll also, send you a email reminder for the call. Now, what the double tie down looks like, that's like the first tie down, right? They agree to the call, you set the time, you let them know what's going to happen. The second tie down would be, awesome, so you are set for noon tomorrow. Now, just so I know, is there any reason why you cannot make that time? Right? That way they double reiterate for themselves, hey, no, noon works, I'll be there. There's no reason for me to make that time, or to not make that time. Right. And then you could even triple tie them down and be like, awesome. Only reason why I asked, time is valuable for our team here. And I don't want to put myself in a bad spot to where I'm wasting, Alex's time with you. So are you positive tomorrow, noon PST? That's a good time for you. Right. And obviously it could get pushy when you're double, triple tying them down and be like, yes, I just said it. But as long as you use good tonality and you're playful and have a good explanation, as in, hey, Alex's time is valuable, so just want to triple check really quick. Tomorrow, 12 p.m. PST, that works for you? Yes, it does. Got the triple tie down. Then you can move on. Awesome. Well, I just sent that message now in the group chat with you and Alex. You guys will be good to go for 12 p.m. PST tomorrow. He will send you the Zoom link and make sure you just hop in through that link. So that was a little messy. I haven't had to double, triple tie people down in a while, but For cold calling, essentially, it's like, okay, they agree to the time to meet with your consultant or with your team. From there, you want to make sure there's no reason why they can't show up. So that would be double tying them down, right? Um, and then you could even do a triple and then just explain, cool, well, bro, only reason why I asked, Alex's time is super valuable. He's one of the top, XYZ coaches on our team, and he has a ton of calls throughout the day. So just to be sure, 12 p.m. PST, that works for you. Yes. Okay, cool. And then move on to letting them know what the next steps would look like. So I explained two things with that. One, having a good discovery. Two, double and triple tying them down. The third would be making sure that you have, making sure you guys have text reminders, email reminders, and just a good notification process for the call that they booked. At the end of the day, everyone's busy. People forget things. So you do want to make sure that if you're working for a company, or even if it's your own agency, if you're using something like Calendly, make sure you hook up the text reminders, the email reminders, and so forth, just so that you can ensure there's no reason for them to not show up. So Emmanuel, how do I pass through gatekeepers? I get this question a lot on calls like this. A lot of it is just thinking backwards, bro. Like imagine gym launch, quickest example I could always give. Imagine you're calling a gym owner and set yourself in a gatekeeper's shoes, right? You're working the front desk. The front desk people, they're not getting paid astronomical amounts of money, so they're just trying to get through their day. They get a cold call from some random guy trying to sell them something and pass them along to their boss, right? The chances that they're going to sit here, listen to you, write what you deem down, and be like, hey, there's some guy trying to sell you something that he wanted to chat with you, very low, right? But if you could frame things in a way that will make that gatekeeper look good at the end of the day, or put them in a position to where like, hey, they will look good to their boss to go ahead and show them, hey, I want to connect you with this guy, Emmanuel. He gave me a call earlier. He sounds like he has a lot of value he could give. Your chances dramatically increase. So I would start off with that, thinking backwards, like, hey, how could I make the gate, or what can I say, or maybe what can I give to the gatekeeper that will make them look good and make them want to pass along your information to their actual boss or owner, right? And like an example I could give of that was just, and I've talked about this a couple times, just the set process that Gym Launch had, which was a podcast setting process. So we were cold calling gyms, setting them on a podcast to market and talk about their business, which was on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and so forth. So you could find me on there talking with gym owners, Gym Lords podcast. But when you think backwards in that sense, like imagine being someone who's getting paid $20 an hour, working for some gym, and they get a cold call from someone saying, hey, is this Alex, right? The gym owner. And it's not him, obviously, it's a gatekeeper. And no, Alex isn't in right now. And you pitching, hey, we have this podcast. I'd be really interested in getting your boss on. It'll help him promote his business. He could tell a story. We have 30,000 listeners, 10,000 listeners. Being a gatekeeper and hearing that and feeling like, hey, this is actually valuable information for me to share with my boss. And he'll probably be excited. It'll make me look good. So let me write their information down and pass this along, right? So that's a big thing I'd say with that. Let me know if that made sense or if that was helpful as well. George Sparrow, my plan actually was just walk in and say that I will work for free, like show them Facebook page that I could run to get any possible first testimonial. Yeah. There's different ways you could do it, bro. George Sparrow. I'm always against working for free because I think for one, like you should value your time. And for two, I don't think anyone really values anything for free. Especially business owners, they know if it's for free, it's for cheap, that it's not going to be that good and so forth. So like the way I would go about it, and this is something you could touch on with John Danes as well. Um, you could do like a beta method, as in he calls this the beta method when you're trying to sign your first 2 or 3, 4 clients to build testimonials. You could let people know, hey, usually it's $4,000 or $5,000 per month to work with our team. Now, as of now, we are focused on working with the people that we know we could help and really building up client results here. So what we're doing, we're only charging $1,000 for the first 3 months. And we're giving you a really good guarantee, as in, if I don't bring you XYZ result by month 3, we'll continue working with you till we do, or we'll give you a full refund, which could get hairy. So make sure you could bring those results and so forth. But yeah, it is interesting to where people would think that doing something for free means that, they'll be able to sign a lot of people. Sometimes that's true, but you'll probably get the wrong type of clients that you're working with, right? And the people who are serious about their business, they know that paying for something to grow is just part of the game. And so if you just give them a kick-ass offer with a really good guarantee, there's a higher chance of them being like, you know what, let's pay this guy $1,000. He has a good guarantee. I spent time with him, I trust him, compared to, let's just have this random person work for free, because they'll understand that means it might be low quality. So let's see. How do you learn about pain points from different niches? I mean, every business has very similar pain points. I think it's just submerging yourself in the type of businesses you want to work with. And there's always different types of pain points as well. There's like marketing pain points, or they need more leads, or maybe they need better infrastructure or SOPs, which would rely into providing like some type of SaaS solution. So there's always different type of pain points. But if you're asking like in a sales call, Charles, if you don't mind breaking that question down a little bit more. But I mean, finding someone's pain point in a sales call is just all about asking good questions. So let's see. Let's see. I have a Zoom call with a prospect on Tuesday. She's the founder, but the husband is the CEO. Should I push for a call with the husband straight away, or do a 2-call close? Dwayne, good question. No, definitely get the husband on the call as well. I could already tell just by the way you explained it. You're going to get to the end of the call with her, and she's going to be like, hey, I am the founder, but I like to involve my husband in every decision I make. So, if she's already booked for a call, it may be a little salesy or pushy to give her a ring and be like, hey, bring your husband on the call as well. So what may be best will be to hop on that first call, do a mini discovery with her, find out in the first 10 or 15 minutes that, her husband's a CEO, and then go ahead and bring them on the call as well. Now, what I would do, I'd probably give the woman a call, the founder, and let them know, if you already had a prior conversation and she gave you all this information that the husband is a CEO, just call and be like, hey, Dwayne, so, I was thinking, I know we have a call this Thursday, and we had a chat the other day regarding how, you're obviously the founder of your company and so forth, but your husband plays a huge role as well as a CEO. I think it'll benefit both of you guys to show up in that call. That way I could just really dial in on questions and what we do here, so you guys could figure out if it's something that is worthwhile to you. And it'll just save time for all of us if you guys if you bring the husband on the call as well. Does that make sense? Would that be fair? Right? If you use really good tonality and explain it logically, as in, hey, I know you're the founder, but you also mentioned that your husband plays a huge role as well. I think it'll benefit both of you guys to show up to that call on Tuesday. Is your husband available on Tuesday as well? She may say, no, he's actually not available on Tuesday. Be like, okay. Well, I mean, when are both of you guys available for 45 minutes? Then she could let you know, Thursday I'm available, and then book them in for Thursday and just reschedule the call. So yeah, you definitely should get the husband on the call as well, is what I'm breaking it down to. There you go. Jorge, Sophia, fluent in Spanish. Victor, how do you get confidence from cold calling? Do more cold calling, bro. That's how you get confidence. Seriously. So, I mean, with cold calling, I was probably doing like 150 to 200 cold calls a day. The more you do, the more confidence you gain. Or you could quote Hormozy. What does he say? Confidence comes from an undeniable stack of proof that you are who you say you are, right? So you have to stack proof for yourself, AKA do more calls, get more results, your confidence builds. Same thing with sales calls. If you're wondering how to get more confidence on sales calls, take more sales calls, close more deals, improve. And the next thing you know, after sales call 200, 300, 400, you have really good confidence because you've done it a lot. And you have that undeniable stack of proof. So hello, I was wondering, Jorge, was wondering if your business has a capacity space to accommodate more students. I'm Jorge, and I run an agency. That's actually a good opener because if anything, Jeremy Miner talks about this as well. If you guys are looking for cold calling tips, there's so many good people on YouTube who they'll do live cold calls for you. They'll give you really good tips. Jeremy Miner is one of them, and I could type him in the chat as well. I follow him on Instagram as well. If you just want to search Miner in my following, Miner. But one thing he talked about was cold calling is having like a confusing opening line that kind of confuses the prospect a little bit and makes them want to continue forward in the call. So for Jorge, having a line, if you're calling someone that's a real estate agent and you're letting them know, hey, I was wondering if you're currently looking to, essentially what you said, I was wondering if your business has a capacity, space to accommodate more students. Obviously, someone's going to think that you're someone who's interested in purchasing whatever from their business and becoming a student at their current business. So it kind of confuses that, hey, I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm actually here to buy something and potentially be a student with you, right? So that gives you that first 10 seconds. It's like a psychology trick to where they're like, hey, yeah, I actually do. We have a lot of spots open for students that we want to work with right now, right? And then you could dive into, awesome. Well, my name is Jorge. I'm a part of a company that helps, bring in more clients on a consistent basis for people. We've worked with a ton of people, start naming some names. We bring XYZ result. Do you have a couple minutes so we could chat if it's something that may be of service to you, right? So that's actually a really good opener, Jorge. So it confuses the lead a little bit. Because there's two ways you could ask that, right? You could ask, like, I was wondering if your business has a capacity, has space to accommodate more students, for one. For two, you could call and say, hey, my name's Jorge and I help people get more students and more clients. And they'll probably be like, I just got a call from someone like you, a month ago, and hang up, right? Not interested, hang up. But if you reframe it as in, hey, I'm potentially looking to purchase something from you guys, of course, they're going to continue with the call. It gives you time to dive into your pitch and so forth. So J&D Media, if you're charging 1.5K, I'd argue as long as your like pre-sales call process is dialed in, you could close them with one call. How can we position ourselves in a meeting without having any clients or testimonials to leverage in the beginning? So Liam, think of it backwards, bro. Every business in the world, agency or not, right? I mean, gyms or real estate agents, everyone starts with their very, very first client, their first piece of business. So if you are in that mind frame towards like, hey, it's going to be difficult because I don't have testimonials, you're wrong at the end of the day if someone hasn't told you that yet, because every single business starts off with their very, very first client, right? So signing that first client, it revolves around a couple things. One, having a really good offer that's dumb saying no to. So a good price point, a good guarantee, and so forth. The other things is just a confidence that you have in the call with providing XYZ result. Obviously, if this is your first client and you show up to a sales call nervous, you don't really know what you're talking about, you don't do a good discovery, yes, it's going to hold you back. They're going to get to the end of the call. And regardless of you having testimonials or not, they'll ask you, hey, do you have any proof of people you worked with? Because you didn't provide enough value or didn't have a good enough sales call, right? But if you show up to a call and you are ultra confident in what you could do, you're asking really good questions, you paint the picture for them really well, plus you have a good price point and good guarantee, meaning a good offer, the chances of them even asking you for testimonials dramatically decreases, right? And there's a chance that they don't even care or they don't even ask because, it was a really good call and you have a really good offer. So that's the two things I'd say. Definitely your confidence in a call, your ability to ask good questions as well, and then just your offer and what that looks like. So one more question. How do you book them on a 45-minute call on a cold call? It requires a lot of effort and time from their side. And yeah, don't say it's 45 minutes, bro. Say it's 30, right? 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And then, just let them know maybe on the first call, hey, typically these calls, they run when you set frame, right? They run about 30 minutes or so. Really what I want to do is just figure out where you're at with your business now. That way I can make sure it's a good fit and so forth. But yeah, J&D Media, obviously if you're on a call with someone and you let them know, hey, do you have an hour free tomorrow? Everyone's going to say, hey, I don't have an hour free. Compared to 30 minutes, it's a lot less risk. So I would just not tell them it's 45 minutes, tell them it's 30 minutes instead. And then obviously rely on having a really good call. That way, you could go the full 40 minutes and they don't even notice. So let's see. Yeah, Easy Grow. Yeah, Charlie Morgan's really good. No, I haven't bought it, Al. I have been in contact a little bit with his team, and he's really legit. Like I wouldn't sit here and vouch for people. I do have a friend who has access to his actual program. It is on School, and I've gone through it, and I've never seen a more extensive program in my life, and extensive in a good way, to where he just dives so deep into every single process of getting more clients, closing deals, the best way to set your agency up, the infrastructure. So I don't think for people doing, 5, 10K and a lot more per month with the agency, I wouldn't say that there's many people better than Charlie Morgan right now with his offer. So let's see here. I'm scrolling through some questions. Cold call script. There's no part that talks about my service. Should I add it or not? Because my cold call script has 3 parts: greeting and asking for 5 seconds, digging in their pain point, presenting the offer without mentioning my service. Yeah. So, but brother, for yourself, I'm going to go with Edine. I think that's your middle name. I don't want to botch your first name, man. But so on a cold call, you never pitch the actual service and price, right? It's almost like leaving a cliffhanger, as in, hey, you found out their pain point. Let's say they need marketing, right? And then you refer them to book a call. That way they could find that marketing solution. So you're never going to sit there and let them know, hey, so our team, what we do coaching calls, or the ads for you. We do this, we do that, because it's not the right place on the cold call, because at the end of the day, you won't close them. right? It's the consultant that has to sit there on a call with them and actually close the deal. So you don't want to dive into the actual offer on a cold call. So their structure is actually correct, presenting the offer but not mentioning the service. So the offer is, hey, you told me you have X problem. Our team, we solve those problems all the time. Let's sit you down with someone on our team. That's the offer, without mentioning the service of what it looks like, the pricing, and so forth. So, God, I just drank coffee before this and I'm starting to feel a little jittery here. So let's see. Appreciate you. What is Charlie Morgan selling again? Yeah, it's um, not my place, and I don't know the ins and outs of his offers. I do know it has a huge thing is with client acquisition, right? So I'm not sure if they run the ads for you. I believe they do. Um, and they guarantee you to sign 20 clients in the first 3 months, I believe. If not, they refund you and give you 5K as well. Now, even for everyone sitting in here that maybe runs an agency, imagine how dumb you have to be to turn an offer down like that. Like if maybe you're struggling a little bit with your agency, or, hey, it's difficult for you to sign clients. These guys, they're literally telling you, I will sign you 20 clients. If not, I will pay you back everything that you pay. Plus, I'll give you $5,000 to take home yourself, right? I mean, that is an offer to where it is stupid to say no to that, but yeah, just so you know, his offer, it has to do with client acquisition, but it's everything to do with scaling your agency. So the ins and outs, I know he was running an agency doing 6 figures a month at one point. So yeah, let's see. How were your first cold calls and what point did you book meetings? My first cold calls, I don't remember, but I ramped up really, really quick. Like that's why they moved me along so fast in the company. And same thing with JJ is because we were crushing it with cold calling. And I would love to sit here and say it's because I'm a gifted world-class cold caller, but it's really because I just came into a system that's working, right? That's why for people when they ask, hey, I'm new to sales, what are your thoughts on this company? They're doing 30K a month, which is relatively low. They want to hire me as a cold caller and have me set and find my own leads. The thing with that is, sure, you could still be successful, but it is setting you up to struggle a bit more. Going to a big established company like Gym Launch or tons of other companies, it's not just these online-based companies. For example, if you could become a cold caller or a setter for a SaaS company that is doing $100 million a year, which there's plenty out there, you're going into a system that's already working, right? So it's just plug and play. You're not testing anything. They're putting you into a vehicle that's already moving. They already get results. They already get tons of cold calling sets. And so it just increases your chances to succeed. So if you are new to sales, definitely dive and take any opportunity you could, but you do want to set yourself up for success and to have a good experience with getting into sales. So going to a more well-established company just does set you up to succeed more compared to going to some no-name agency that's doing a lot less per month, to where maybe they're still trying to dial in their systems. So for you being a new person in sales, definitely will set you back a bit compared to going to a big company that's already established. So how would you practice listening to your cold calls? A lot of cold calling questions. I like it. I'm cold calling 4 to 5 hours, so I don't have time listening to all the recordings. Hence, what is the most efficient manner to get better by listening to your calls? Yeah, so I would keep it really simple. Review 2 cold calls per day. Review 1 where you got a set and 1 where you didn't get the set. Just do it at the end of your day, every single day, right? So as you're going through cold calls throughout the day, once you set someone, write their name down, be like, hey, this one's good to review. Once you get to someone that maybe you went the whole call with and they didn't want to get set, write their name down, and review it at the end of the day. Um, you're your biggest critic. You are yourself for Jake. And people are always surprised. They think that they need to sit here with someone like myself or JJ and have us sit here and review all your calls, review mock calls. But truthfully, if you do a call, it didn't go the direction you wanted to, and you watch the recording, you could probably give yourself better advice and know what you did wrong compared to needing someone to sit here and review it for yourself. So definitely review your own calls. Let's see, let's hash through a couple questions here. Let's see, could you give a detailed explanation of what is SSFR for someone who's wondering which program to choose? What is SSFR? Is that six-figure sales rep? SFSR, maybe? It's pretty self-explanatory, bro. As far as programs, I mean, one teaches you agency, another teaches you sales. The third one teaches you copywriting, and all the programs are actually blend together. So if you're running an agency, six-figure sales rep teaches you better sales skills to improve your close rate, and the Pen to Profit will teach you better copywriting for emails you send, advertisements you run, and so forth. So let's see here. All right. In a sales call, prospect was asking for a lower price, and I tried to get around it by explaining our guarantees and how if he even signs one of our leads, he makes money, but all he cared about was the price. What could have been done in that scenario? Yeah, that's pretty normal. A lot of times people ask if you have a discount or a payment plan and so forth. In any offer you sell, there's always typically some type of payment plan that you could offer and so forth. Although it's always to your benefit to collect as much cash as you could up front. And so in that scenario, if someone is asking for a cheaper price, one, you do want to make sure that they understand the ROI and the value on what it is that you're selling, right? So be like, hey, I understand, so pricing is always a big thing for people, but does it connect with you, the ROI that you would receive in here? As in, with our guarantee, we will literally sign you X amount of clients in the next couple months, which will result to a 5X of what you initially invested to get to X goal. Does that make sense? Yes, it does. Okay, cool. So let me know. I mean, you asking for price, is that because you just don't have the money right now? Or what does that look like for you? And then they'll let you know, yeah, I just don't have the full amount right now. And then from there, you could just tie them up for a payment plan or discount. That's actually the easiest objection to get across, because if it's just pricing, and they see the value and everything else within the program, all you need to do is get them a payment plan or discount. That way you could get them started, compared to someone who doesn't see the value in what it is that you're selling, right? So to rephrase that, when you get an objection, first you need more information on what is the true objection. If they're asking for a lower price, is it because they just don't have the money, or is it because they don't really see the value in anything? Right? If they don't see the value, you need to hash that out and then ask them to close again, right? Are you ready to get started? Loop them essentially and so forth. If it's just pricing, narrow down, okay, so if price set aside, if this was free, would this be something that you do feel like would be a good fit for you and that we'd be able to help you with? They say yes. That means it's just pricing, and then let them know, awesome. So if I could just set you up some type of payment plan or discount, would you be ready to rock today? They'll say yes, and then you could dive into finances and create them a discount. So let's see here. Awesome. Cool. You guys, I do have to hop. It was a good hour. Hopefully the questions that I answered were helpful. If not, definitely pop me or JJ a message. I don't know if JJ's still in here. Alex Beck or JJ Hernandez. And we're happy to help you guys out. So hope you guys have a wonderful weekend and a good Friday, and we will chat soon here.